Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, and so are you. Welcome to a very special edition of the Entree Musician. As you know, if you've been following us, we have been blessed to have some incredible entree musicians on. And what we try to do is go right across the board, whether they are sitting at the apex of the music industry or whether they just released their music and don't have much out and are still learning. We try to engage with them. You know why? Because we're all entree musicians together trying to take it to the next level. And what makes this episode so special to me personally, and man, we've been blessed to have people like Chris Jasper of the Isley Brothers, Bob Baldwin. We've had Gary Hines from the Sounds of Blackness, and on and on. But we had the opportunity to have a conversation with Michelle Maslin, Emmy award-winning songwriter and producer who has worked with everyone in the business over 40 years. Pat Williams, Engelbert Humperdinck, Bob Dylan, Nile Rodgers, Kesha, Jonathan Butler. I could go on and on and on. It has been said that Michelle's music is being played somewhere in the world every day, 365, 24/7, somewhere in the world, a Michelle Maslin song is being played. Now, those are her credentials. But what I want you to tune into is her heart. And she has been so gracious and was so generous with her time. I was expecting this is going to be 40 minutes. I only had a couple of questions prepared, and she was able to share her heart, share her wisdom, share her advice. And so this is actually a two-part episode, and I'm not editing anything out of it. I've just found the middle of the conversation and kind of cut it in half. And then for those of you who are subscribers to the Entree Musician, you've clicked on the Backstage Pass and you've registered. You know, we have with everyone, just about everyone who we have had a conversation with, they do bonus time with us in the backstage so that you can have access to stuff that we don't make available to the general public. And here again, I thought, given her time, given her schedule, she would only, provide 10 or 15 minutes tops. And I would be very cool and thankful for that. Yet another 45 minutes went by like nothing. We wound up talking on average about 3 hours or so. So this is a really special edition because of the wisdom that she has, the experience that she has as a songwriter. Not only pitching to music supervisors and music libraries and having her music in so many different shows and film, but also to top artists that she is writing for all the time. My pleasure to introduce this to you, which is why I've come on for this very special introduction. But I've found in her a friend and a genuine spirit, and I thought, man, let's just get this one out as quickly as possible. So for this week and for next week, we'll chain these two episodes together, separately but together, if you understand what I'm saying. But without further ado, it's my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you my new friend, Michelle Maslin. Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the Entree Musician, and so are you. And so is this super soul sister who's sitting to the left of your screen. You know, we've had entree musicians on before. We've had ultra entree musicians, as we call them. We have to invent a new title for Michelle because we're going to have to start with what she hasn't done, because everything that has happened in the music industry that you're dreaming about and that you think you can't accomplish, she's been there, she's done that. I'm telling you, Michelle Maslin, not a day goes by on any television set or radio where you don't hear one of her songs. She's an Emmy Award winner. She has 5,000 plus placements in sync licensing, TV, film, gaming, you name it. This is Michelle, and she has agreed to grace us with her time, and I couldn't be more delighted. Blessings to you, dear heart. How are you?
Oh, I'm amazing, Jerry. Thank you. How could I not be after that amazing introduction? Blessings to you. That's so beautiful. Thank you so, so much.
I mean, you
Thank you.
have really, 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 really enamored us with your accomplishments. And I'm grateful for that. I feel like I know you already because I've been trolling you on all of your webinars and the
Thank
videos and the interviews you've done. And here's one thing I want to say before I ask my first question. I want to say this to you because when we were on the webinar with Barry Coughing for musicsupervisor.com, and I already knew who you were. And I just chatted and, hey, I would love to interview you on the Entre Musician. You just graciously said, yes, I'd love to. You didn't know me from Adam. I mean, you didn't ask how many hits I get or views or subscribers. You just said yes. And so that told me something about your spirit right off the bat. So thank you very much.
thank you. I'm honored. Are you kidding? I'm honored. Just blessed to be asked to serve and serve your audience and the world. And You know, I've been through the school of hard knocks, so why should everybody else have to go through that? I love helping people, and I love that you do as well.
I
That's
do.
so important. I know, and that we have to do that. There's no point in people stumbling through things that we can help them with.
Man. And you
Yeah.
put that so very, very well. Well, I had made up in my mind with all of the interviews that you've done. I'm sure you've been asked the same questions 2 million times. And I said, well, Jerry, we can't take her down those streets because she can phone it in for that. But I really want to know, with everything that you've done, what do you find is the greatest challenge for you maintaining the consistency that you've been able to acquire? What is that one challenge that you continue to plow through or work around? Do you know what that is?
You hit the nail on the head when you said maintaining. It's maintaining, it's sustaining. That's the challenge.
Mm,
I mean, people all think, oh God, if I just get one hit, if I just get one cut, if I just get one placement, oh, life will be so much easier. But, you know, sustaining it is so hard.
yeah.
It's every day, it's facing the rejection and brushing it off every single day.
So let me ask this question then. So you're saying what you're telling us is that a young lady who has achieved not only an Emmy nomination, but has earned an Emmy, has 5,000 placements, that there's still some challenges. That's what you're saying. It's not easy street after you quote unquote make it. That's what you're telling us.
No, nobody cares about your awards, and they
Mm,
don't care about your discography, and they don't care about your hit songs, and they just don't care. They just want what they want,
wow.
and in order to sustain your place in this world of work and music is is challenging every day, and that's kind of exciting, right? Because you never know what's going to happen.
Mm,
At it, someone wrote me just before we got on here, who I worked with maybe 20 years ago to produce a song for them. Haven't talked to them in ages. You never know, right? What
wow.
someone's going to want, what someone's going to need, who might remember you, who
Mhm,
might, who you think would remember you and they don't, and
mhm.
discard you. I mean, so I always see this business as survival of the fittest. And that's why music is my air, because if it weren't my air, I couldn't sustain it, right?
Mm,
So
that's right.
so we were discussing that before here, that when music is your air and it's everything you are, then you have no choice but to be able to maintain and be able to sustain and make it through all the rejection. So I always say to people, the playing field is equal.
Mhm.
It's so equal because everybody wants to discover somebody new. So yeah, I'm tried and true, but that's not so interesting sometimes,
Mm.
right? So there's the people say, well, it's so easy for you. You have so many credits, blah, blah. No, it's not, because they want you. They want to discover you. They're like, yeah, yeah, I know what Michelle does. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, yeah. What else you got? What else you got? Right. So I have to fight that as
Oh.
well. Right.
Mm.
So when you start out, you're really young and green, and no one wants to take any chance on you, and no one respects you. And then you get older, and then no one wants to take any chance on you. No one respects you. I mean, it's an everyday thing, but let's look at that in an empowering, inspiring way, right? Because I do it and I
Yeah.
hang in there, and I don't let any of that rejection bother me, you
Mm.
know?
That's so
And
good.
yeah, or and if it does, swimming is my passion. I go swim and wash them all off, you know, jump in that water, just wash them off, because
Wow.
because we have to have a sense of our own self and happiness, right?
Hmm.
To
No,
maintain.
that's so very good that you say that, because one thing about creatives is there's a space in us that is so sensitive, and that when we face rejection or we face that no, we're taking it more personally. It's not necessarily, well, that song doesn't fit, or this creative isn't right for that particular project. A lot of times we take it internally. And so that causes us to really be negative in other points of our lives, when we can just say, hey, that no will lead to a yes. And I believe there was something that you said previously about 1,000 rejections. Like, you can put 1,000 submissions out there and maybe get 5 yeses from that. Is that
Yeah, I mean, or not even. So, right. So the no's don't matter. That's where it boils down to. The no's don't matter. Only the yeses matter. And of course, every time I want to retire and quit, I get all these no's. There's a yes. And then I'm like, damn, now I have to still do this. So, right? I'm like,
right?
oh God. So that's what happens, the yeses show up, but the no's, it's all like numbers, right? The more you throw out there, the more possibilities you have.
That's right.
So some people will say to me, I just can't take this. Like, I just keep getting rejected. And I'll say, how many places did you send the song? And they'll say, 2.
Mm.
2. Okay, I sent my last song to like 3,000 people.
Mm.
So 2, like 2 is not even a number.
That's right.
Yeah. So you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Of course it goes without saying the song has to be good, the production has to be better. I mean,
Sure.
but if it is, then if you don't plaster the world with it, you're just going to get 2 no's,
Mm. That's so
right?
good.
Yeah, but it's so true.
That's
But
huge.
people are afraid. And I try to tell them, look, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Mm.
You have music, they need music, right? They
That's
need
right.
music. So don't worry that you're bothering them. You're not bothering them. That's their job. Their
Yes.
job is to listen to the music and use the music. Your job is to create the music and send them the music, market the music. But if
Hmm.
you don't market it, then nothing happens. Plus, what's meant for us is meant for us,
Yes.
right?
That's
Like,
right.
like if you get some big placement or a big cut with an artist that I wanted, it wasn't meant for me. I'm
Mhm.
happy for you. I have to celebrate you,
Yeah.
right? I can't be angry with God or
Yeah.
you or anything. It wasn't meant to be.
Sure.
It just wasn't mine.
That's
And
right.
that's how I sustain. And that's how I look at it. Right. And
That's right.
sometimes, like, someone will listen to a record and they'll say to me, God, that whole album sucks. I can't believe it. My songs are so much better. And
Mm.
I'll say, well, did you pitch any of your songs to that artist? Well, no. Well, no. So it's moot. Can't get upset. Right.
Exactly.
If I didn't have time to pitch songs for Kelly Clarkson's record, that's my problem. That's my fault.
Yeah.
So how can I get upset that I don't have any songs on it? I didn't try. Right?
It seems so simple, and we
Yeah.
complicate things, but that's just it. If you don't plant the seeds, you reap the harvest. It's just like that. and you are a planter. And I think
Right.
maybe some of that is because of your Queens, New York upbringing, and you know the art of the hustle, right?
Yes, sir. We Queens girls are tough. That's right. We are tough. We have serious accents and that I never can get rid of. And I try. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think that I'm so grateful to have grown up in New York City
Mhm.
because it definitely gives you a leg up. It's definitely, we're tough, you
Yes.
know, and I definitely don't sugarcoat a lot of things. So when I teach my students, I tell them the first minute, I'm not very kumbaya.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know, you're not
Mhm.
going to get a lot of that out of me because I'm going to tell you life is tough. This business is tougher
Right.
and there are no excuses. And that's where I come from, right?
Right.
I come from that. I come from achieving
Yes.
successes. And I
Yes.
didn't know I was supposed to be happy. No one ever told me that. I mean, people are talking California. I live in California. People talk about happy, being happy.
Oh,
Really? My
there you
parents never told me to be happy. They told me to make money, you know? They told me in
Understood.
New York that I was supposed to achieve and do
Mm.
something, right? Like you were talking
Right.
about all your daughters, they're all
Yeah.
achieving, right?
Yeah. They
So
are.
that's what I was taught, that that was what was acceptable. And there were no excuses. And everybody's
Mm.
always making excuses of the dog ate my homework. And I'm like, nobody cares, right? So I that's also part of sustaining is I tell my students, nobody cares. They
Mhm.
don't care if your mother is sick.
Mhm.
They don't care if your
Yeah.
dog passed away. They really don't care. They need this, and you are supposed to supply it. And that's
That's
it.
correct.
And
That's
then once
correct.
you have that mindset, it's sort of easier because you
Yes.
realize there are no excuses, right? It's like if you cheat on your spouse, there's no excuse.
None.
Might have done it, but there's no excuse. You don't
Exactly.
have one. You're
Right.
not supposed to do that. So, right? So it's
That's
very
correct.
cut and dry. And so it's like that in business as well, right? So I think also that's how I see it is if I don't show up, then I have to be prepared that I burned the bridge.
Wow.
And
That's
I've worked
beautiful.
at my career that way, telling people because they all say, well, I didn't do this. I didn't have time to go to the studio. I didn't have time to this. I
Mhm.
didn't. Well, that's not their problem. That's your problem.
That's
So
right.
yeah. So that's I
That's
guess
right.
that's Queens as well. I'm quite tough. So
I see that.
all
Now
5 feet of me is
but
very
it's
tough.
necessary. It's necessary. But when you look at your track record and when you look in the rearview mirror to see what you've accomplished, I know that when your nose was against the grindstone, you were not really trying to tally up any points. You were just going at it day by day, and then subsequently, this is what has happened to you. It's
Yeah. And the key is to not step on anyone, in my opinion.
Mhm.
The key is there's enough work to go around.
Yeah. And that's
Right.
having that abundance mentality. We were talking
Hmm.
about that a little bit,
Hmm.
before we went on here, but the poverty mentality saying, okay, well, it's only so many slices of the pie. But no, abundance means there is no amount of slices. You can just go and get yours because that door is going to open for you if you continue knocking on it.
Yes, exactly. And there aren't enough hours in the day for me to write every song that's needed or produce every song that's needed. And there's even Diane Warren, there's not enough hours in the day for her
True,
to do all that.
true.
There's enough abundance for everybody, like what you're saying, who participate.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Well, why don't you take us through a day of Michelle Vice Maston? What does a typical day look like for
Oh God, a typical day never goes as planned. That's all, like, right? You want to make
you?
God laugh, tell him your plans, right?
Right.
God, every day I get up thinking I'm going to accomplish all this stuff, and then that doesn't happen.
Mm,
But because there's just so many things that people need, that they need songs and they need stems and they need introductions and they need me to change something and my students need me to answer something and so I always have really good intentions but usually everything gets derailed but in the first what I do first in my day in terms of work and getting it together is I read the trades.
Mhm.
So that's my first thing in the day. And the problem is right now that there are too many trades and they fire at you all day long
Wow.
emails of things that are happening. So I have a filing system, things to read later, things to read now, things to toss, things to do. I mean, I have all these different files.
Yeah.
But that's basically the first thing is I want to see what's going on in the world and in the world of business, of music business. So both the world in general, what happened in the news, I want to see quickly what's going on. And I want to see, what projects are being made, what new things got picked up, what got canceled, what artists are making albums. So there's a bunch of trades that I read or skim through. And that's the first thing I do. And I also answer all the emails because, when I wake up in the morning, there's usually at least 500 emails.
Sure.
Yeah. And even now, while we do this interview, when we're done, I'll have 200 emails.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm bombarded with people asking me for things.
Yeah.
So, and I like to take care of them. So I don't like not to answer. So I have a coach and she doesn't like this. She thinks I should she has times like color coded spreadsheets of like within
time management or something.
Yeah, it's her time management. Between like 10 and 12, she answers emails and then she doesn't the rest of the day. And like she has all this stuff. And I'm like, I can't do that because if you call me and you need something for a song, I need to stop and give that to you. So she doesn't like that, but my world exists that way, that I need to serve and service these people these music supervisors and A&R people that I work with. So basically all day I'm answering emails, and in that I'm trying to get something done for me. So I don't get as much done for me as I do for everybody else. And so, yeah. And then at night, pre-COVID, because COVID of course changed all our stuff.
Certainly.
But I usually go to the studio at night, and I usually work at night from about 8 to midnight or 1. And that's when I do music productions or write. So usually I do that, but during the day, and I start pretty early, 7:30ish, I'm doing like 11 hours of marketing.
Wow.
So even
you're
when
doing more marketing than you're doing creative.
Yes, I'm doing more marketing than creative. And so I put in like 16, 17 hours a day. And most of it is marketing. So most of it I'm getting rejected. And then I go to the studio, and because in my world, if I create, and a lot of people ask that, like, how do they balance the creative with the business? Is like, because the creative for me is more draining actually. Right, especially writing, not producing. Like I can like spend hours and hours and hours in the studio working with musicians, we got singers, all that, mixing. That's not so taxing. But writing I find very taxing. And if I write during the day, I'm just mush. I can't get any work done. So I really try never to. I haven't written during the day in years because it just destroys the whole ecosystem for me, because after I finish working on the writing, I just need a drink and to do nothing.
Mellow out.
I'm done. Yeah, it's just so brain draining. So usually I do that at night. So that's my day, and I take a nibble here and there, and sometimes I pass out and take 10 minutes of a nap because I'm so tired. Right. And usually work outside. I like to sit in the sun and pitch songs and market and do all of that, because then at least it's happy and bright. But right now we're in May gray, and so we don't get any sun. We haven't had any for 5 days, but in sunny California, it's gray. Yeah. But yeah, so that's, I hope that, that answers it. I'm fielding whatever shows up,
Understood.
And we never know.
You are comfortable and you have your feet firmly planted in both the sync world as well as working with artists. One tends to be obviously more business, I guess. But with the creative, with working with artists, I mean, which one do you really migrate toward, or are you just equally right on point, equilibrium with both of them? Do you
Yeah,
prefer?
I love to do both. And there's a question no one ever asked me. So there we go.
I'm
I
thinking.
love, yeah, I love to do both. When I write songs, like the one thing that I don't believe in is writing for sync. I do not believe in that. I write songs to write a great song.
That's good.
Hopefully, sometimes
That's good.
they're good, sometimes they're not so good, just like everybody else. You know, it's not like every song I write is great. And I try to make them great, but I try to make them great songs. I don't try to think, well, this is for sync, who cares? So I don't come from that place. So when I write with artists, I usually have a discussion and agreement with them that we can pitch it for sync as well as for their album or whatever is going on. Usually they're open to that, right? Because they want possibilities.
Yeah,
But I try to make the best song possible.
that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's good.
if, and there are parameters. I mean, if I'm writing with a major artist,
Mhm.
you know, then I'm following their voice and what they want, right? Well, actually,
Mhm.
anytime I'm writing with an artist, it's about them. It's not about me. So even if it's a brand new artist and they're 12 years old, it's about them. You know,
Yeah,
I'm just channeling them.
but you're not an artist yourself, though. But you work with all of these artists, and then you work in the sync world. So, but
Well,
you're
I'm a secret, quiet closet artist.
are you a
Sure.
closet artist?
Yeah, when I started out, I was an artist.
Well, you were
Yeah,
in a band, right? Early in
I
your
was in
formative
many
years,
bands.
singer. Yeah.
Yes, I was in bands. I did performance art, very weird stuff. And I started out as an artist
Hmm.
for sure. And through the years, right?
Yeah.
Every so often, I do something as an artist.
Is that right? See
Yeah,
that I did not know. So you release something on your own and just say, "Hey, this is me. This is just because I wanted to do it. It's not."
right.
That's
Exactly.
good. That's good.
Exactly. A couple have just got placed. And so that's always fun.
Hmm.
I have a new little project. So I always have a little thing, you know, every so often I come out and sing and do something that's for my own soul and
That's good.
and that, but like, yeah, but it's definitely from my soul. And do I like making commercial things with it? Yeah, of course, you know, I
Mhm.
mean, for sure, if people want to use them, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I do also work with a lot of artists, and I have a single out right now with Jonathan Butler, who's one of
Mhm.
my most favorite, yes, favorite
Fantastic.
collaborators. I've written with him for 20 years, and we have a new single out, and it's amazing because all these famous jazz cats play on it. We have Dave Koz and Candy
Oh,
Dulfer, Mesa Leak is on it,
oh my.
Jeffrey Osborne, Marcus Miller plays
Mm.
on it.
Yes.
Oh my God, I think I'm missing some people. It's just like loaded with all these people just shared their talents on our song. It's like
Wow.
so incredible. But Jonathan is amazing to write with. And of course, when I write with him, I channel him,
Hmm.
right?
He's
I'm
such a great
there.
spirit too. He has just such a wonderful spirit.
Yes, he's very religious and very
Mhm.
spiritual.
Yeah.
He's amazing. So that's all I can say. I love working with him. He's an amazing voice. He's an amazing musician, guitar player, and just a great collaborator. It's really wonderful. And to write, you know, for him, and he sing and have him sing also things I write, to write in his voice,
Yeah.
you know, because we're so different. Well, we're the same age, but other than that, you know,
Yeah.
we have different, we're very different, and it's so powerful.
That's awesome. Well, let's do this since you opened up that closet. Let's do a little name dropping and I'm
Oh,
gonna because you've worked with so many different people. Maybe you can describe them in one word. Okay. You ready?
oh my God,
Bob Dylan,
legend.
Engelbert Humperdinck,
Oh wow, Engelbert. One word for Engelbert. Oh my God. Oh my God. Excited. Excited. Yeah.
Sarita Wright.
I was just talking about Sarita yesterday. Okay. Songbird.
Mm.
Songbird. Sarita, magical. I was
Mhm.
just telling someone actually that how even when I was a little pisher and I wrote with her, that
Mm.
she sang a demo for me.
Wow.
She sang for me. I was just starting out and she sang my song for
My goodness.
just to be beautiful. And yeah, Sarita, so sorry she's gone. She amazing
Mm.
songbird. Yes.
Absolutely. One more. Now Rogers.
A gift. Gift.
Gift.
Blessing. Nile Rodgers is the reason I'm here. Nile Rodgers took me in, mentored me, didn't have to,
Wow.
set me up with people, let me shadow him all
Mm.
day for years in his studio,
Wow.
and just, yeah, he's special guy. He really is an amazingly nice human. He is what you see. And
Wow.
I don't know anybody who's ever has a bad word about Niall. That's all I can tell you. Just all of us who have worked with him,
Yeah.
know, like hang and talk to each other. Like he had this, besides his amazing talent, this magic of kindness.
Wow.
And the reason why he worked with me is because my stepsister, she just passed away, and actually Niall made the most beautiful tribute of her.
Is that
Which
right?
was so beautiful. She had been friends with him since the early 80s, and she said to him, he kept wanting to like hang and date her, and she said to him, I'll go out with you if you help my sister. And
Is
he
that
did. And he did.
Did she
So
date him? Did she date him after?
not really.
Oh, no,
I mean, she's been buddies with him for 40 years.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I think they like the cat and mouse, the two of them. Personally, I think it was, they played for 40 years.
Oh.
So until she passed. And then the most beautiful tribute on his Facebook page. If you ever see it, it's so beautiful. But anyway, but she was bold enough to ask, right? That's why we have to be bold. She was bold enough to ask, and he was so loving to say yes. And I was in LA then, and I went back to New York, and I stayed in New York, and just he set me up. I had a big hit song, set me up with his people. I mean, wrote with me. He wrote with me. I mean, again, like kind of like Sarita singing for me. It's like,
Yeah.
I was a little pisher. I just feel that excuse me, I have bronchitis. I feel blessed. All these people that you mentioned, I've written with so many famous people. It's really like yesterday I was talking to Randy Jackson. Like we hadn't talked in like years, and we were on the phone for like an hour and talking about all these people, and like, God, and I wrote with Randy, probably in 1990 when he was with Journey, and like, I've just been I got to learn with some really amazing people, huh?
Man, what a blessed life. But again, that Queens, New York stick to itiveness, hustle has gotten you by God's grace into all of these doors. But it's not luck. And that's when I see your career, when I watch what you're doing, when I'm checking out the videos, I can see that this is a young lady who has gone for it. Yes, you've had the Nile Rodgers who's helped to open up certain doors and place you in certain rooms where you may not have the opportunity to get to yourself. But what you did with it when you were in the room is so special, because that took you to the next room, into the next place. So
yeah, thank you so much, because I thank you, because I have worked so hard.
Mhm.
It took me 11 years till I had a hit song,
Mhm.
where the most amazing thing was people were not saying, oh, she doesn't deserve it.
Mhm.
Everybody was saying, oh my God, if anybody deserves it, she does. Like they were so exhausted from me pushing so hard. Like you could see the relief on
Wow.
A&R people's faces, like because they'd rejected me so much that you could see them feeling better almost about themselves because something happened for me. Because yeah, because I had exhausted everybody. Like I was in their face.
My Lord.
You know,
That's
I was
excellent.
just relentless. I was like showing up at doorsteps. I would pitch songs and I would show up.
Mm,
Like
mm,
I
mm.
wouldn't like send this. Well, in those days it was a cassette. I wouldn't
Yeah.
send that in the mail. Like I would drive to like the record label and I would go to the receptionist and I'd say, "Oh, is Carol here? Can I see her?" I mean, I would like sometimes I'd get lucky that they'd go get the A&R person and they'd take me back and I would just show up and hand them everything. I was not giving up. I was at every single schmooze, and it's so much easier now because we just have this box,
Sure.
right? We don't have to go anywhere.
Sure,
But
right.
in those days, you really had to show up, and I was schmoozing, and I was making connections and getting
Mhm.
business cards and following up with them and sending music and getting rejected and you know but
Wow.
but yeah but exactly, like it wasn't like, oh well, someone helped me. I was hustling those connections and I was
Absolutely.
hustling those deals and I was just doing everything to
Now,
try.
is that how you met your wonderful husband? Because I mean, he is a stellar engineer in his own right. I mean, were you just
Oh yeah, and producer. He produced David
David
Bowie and
Bowie?
Air
Yeah,
Supply and Listen Manchester and James Taylor. I mean, he's
yeah,
like one of the most famous producers and engineers of all
yes.
time. So yeah, but actually we met because of someone who I wrote songs with.
Mhm.
And this person that I wrote songs with, Chuck Wild, his name is, he developed all the sound design for Michael Jackson for many albums. So he made
Wow.
all the weird sounds that now we get in keyboards and can
Well,
easily
sure.
tweak. But in those days, it was more difficult. And he did this for Michael.
Mhm.
And my husband owned a big studio in LA and was engineering the History album for Michael. And Michael was recording in, and Bruce Swedien was producing, and
Mhm.
Chuck was doing the sounds. My husband was engineering. Harry Maslin is my husband.
Yeah, Harry.
And and Harry said to Chuck, I'm looking for a female artist, a new female artist to work with. And Chuck recommended me, which goes back to me being an artist in my own right,
Yes.
right? And
Right.
and so he set us up. We were set up, but I believe we were always set up on a personal level as well. And from the day we met, we've been hanging out.
Wow.
So we hit it off. When I left the studio that day, my husband laughs and said that he said to all his employees, "There goes my future ex-wife." Right? But that was almost
Oh,
25 years ago, and
there
I'm
you
still
go.
here. So thank you. So yeah, so
Oh,
and my
that's a
husband
blessing.
is amazing, and I am so blessed because he engineers for me.
Mm,
And that is my secret weapon. My
it is.
mixes sound amazing. He mixes, he engineers. If I say to him, can you make it sound more, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
He knows what every knob is for.
Right.
You know, he knows like, and if I say, can you make the bass a little more boom, boom, he knows how to do that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like everything sounds incredible. And he also, because producing is my passion, which a
Mhm.
lot of people don't know. It's not really songwriting. Producing is my passion, which as a female there's only 2% of females that are professional music producers like me.
Mhm.
And it's not easy,
Yeah.
but he lets me be the producer. He he
He follows your vision.
He does, because look, he's as famous as it can be. I mean, he produced David Bowie's Fame and
Yeah.
Golden Years, and things might be as big, but nothing is bigger than that. He has nothing to prove. He is so confident, and he lets me be the producer and just ask him, can you turn this knob? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm so blessed because of that, right? Because he understands how difficult it is as a female
Yes.
to be the producer,
Mm-hmm.
and not wanting to, oh, woe is me. But
Yeah.
I will
Sure.
say, I'm a 5 foot, 100 pound person. I'm the tiny little girly girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that makes it even more difficult because I want to be respected. And of course, my New Yorkness, and to get the production gig is not so easy.
Sure.
People don't want to give
Sure.
me the gig. They usually give me the gig because it's in my hard drive and they want that.
Right.
And they're
Right.
kind of disappointed that I produced it because, like,
Well,
I'm
okay.
so honest, right?
So why is that? You got to unpack that a little bit. Why would they be? I mean, the songs are cranking. You have excellent track record. Why would they be disappointed that you were the producer on the?
Because they want to work with a guy.
Hmm.
They don't want to work with a little
So
girl.
that stigma is still, I don't know.
Oh,
So
nothing has
so I
changed.
have three daughters. So
Uh-huh.
I'm all about
Right.
empowering women, of course. My wife is wonderful. So I don't see, I guess I'm not wired to see that there would be a stigma whether there's a woman or a man in the producer's chair. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that stigma was
Yeah,
there.
there's a total stigma. There's only two. Yeah, they just did the Annenberg study again. It's like the third year in a row, and only 2% of professional music producers are women.
Hmm.
None that have charted lately. There are none. There's like none. So being one, I feel very proud. But my main co-writer, I write with a lot of people, as you know, but my main co-writer I've been writing with now for 40 years. So his name is always on the song, but he's not the producer.
Understood.
That's very
Understood.
disappointing to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Larry Treadwell, he's amazing. He's an amazing musician, by the way. He's just
Guitarist, right?
Oh yeah, guitar,
Right?
bass. But that's his main instrument. But he plays everything: mandolin and cello and violin and drums and piano. I mean, you just stick something in his hands and he can play it.
Yeah, do it.
He's amazing, and he writes lyrics, and he's amazing. But when they see a male name there, they're kind of assuming
Mm-hmm.
that the product is in his hard drive.
Now, who's the proverbial they? When you say that, are the theys the
A&R people?
the
Yeah.
music supervisors? Really?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
The production companies, the film companies, the producers, the directors, everybody
Wow.
is really hoping
I feel
it's
so
not.
naive.
Yeah. And I produced my first song with Sam Moore from Sam and Dave in 1990 for a movie.
Wow.
So I've been doing it a long time. It's not like I'm a newbie at this as a professional, but I'm very honest. Like, I'm very transparent. Like, I'm not going to cover that up, that they really don't want to hire me. I feel it every time. And every time except one production, they say to me, it must be difficult as a female to blah, blah, blah. They're always saying that. And sometimes I'm looking around the room. Oh, they mean me. Like, what female? Because I just feel like part of the project and the producer.
Sure.
But but the powers that be, they just now look at the charts and you'll see. Look at any syncs in the movies and you'll see who produced it. It's almost always a male.
Is there a movement or a conversation that is brewing to empower women or encourage them that this is one chair that they want to pursue? I mean,
yes, there are some. Yes, and there's a nice organization called Sound Girls, but they really focus more on engineering.
I see.
On the female who's knob turning technical, rather than the producer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is a different, totally creative job.
Sure, sure,
Right.
right.
Right. So, but yes, there are some, there's also an interesting thing where the women don't seem to gravitate toward wanting to be producers.
I was going to ask that, wow, I mean, let's walk down this street for just a second, okay? Because, you will hear from the African American community, maybe a statement that says, well, there's not many Black marine biologists, or, just to throw out something hypothetically. And so the question always comes up, well, are they, and I'm speaking as a Black man,
Yeah.
applying? Is this an interest? Is this something that they want? And you kind of, if you ask that question, if you're on the other side, especially if you're not Black and you ask that question, it almost seems as if you're being disingenuous. But if there are not many Black people who are looking to be marine biologists, of course, those numbers are going to be like that. So I was going to ask, with respect to the women, are they not, um, interested in being music producers in
Yeah,
that
I do
part
agree
in
with
the,
you.
okay.
Yeah, there's for some reason there's a lack, and
Mm,
I'm not really sure why. Maybe they think because it can't be done.
hmm,
Maybe they think because they wouldn't be good at it. But when you look at the study of the women female songwriters, only 12% of professional songwriters are women. So the study is taking into who makes money, right? What is making you a professional? The professional is because it doesn't mean you're better
sure.
than, right? It just means you make a living doing it. You're commercially, you are making money. So the PROs, the labels, the study shows that only 12% of females are songwriters, or
Hmm,
of professional songwriters are female.
hmm,
Yet I know gazillions of females who write songs, right? And the population is pretty 50-50 male, female. So maybe those female songwriters just aren't getting as many opportunities,
I
right?
see.
But in
So
terms of producers,
mhm.
it really is very small. I rarely meet a female who is aspiring or working as a producer. Very rarely. Yes.
You opened up about 5 questions in me. I'm going to try to be
There, go for it.
brief, but what do you, let's go with the flip side. What do you like most about producing? Because I think that's where my heart is. I'm a much better producer than I am a musician, but what do you like about
So you
producing?
love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. I should ask you. What I love about it is the creation, making the song come to life,
Mhm.
working with musicians, because I don't believe in just working in the box.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
work with musicians, even if I'm making EDM, even if I'm making urban music. I have real musicians
Yeah,
in the room.
yeah,
I love working with musicians. They are amazingly special people. Their minds are different. Their
yeah.
everything is different. And it's really wonderful. And I love working with singers, great singers, vocalists who
Mhm.
I can sing them the scratch and they can make it
Flesh it out.
something unbelievable. Right, exactly. And it's so exciting. And like Niall used to say, everything I write sounds like a folk song. He calls it my folk magic. But yet he gets it. It's
Yeah,
an R&B song.
yeah,
It's not a folk song.
right.
So when I have the right musicians and the right singers and my
Mhm.
song comes to life, there's nothing better than mixing. And I love mixing. So sometimes I make my husband crazy because I'll just be like, tweaking for days. Like it
Right.
drives him crazy, like wanking. He calls it wanking because then I want this a little louder and that a little softer and this a little this, and he's like, it's done, and I'm like, it's not done. But I love that, right? The
Right.
the whole process of all of it,
Mm,
I love it. Yes.
that's really,
You?
really cool.
You? You know,
Yeah.
with the production.
Yeah, I love the journey. I love the blank canvas, and you paint this idea on it. And as you say, working with vocalists or musicians, and the technology and just getting involved with. There was nothing here when we sat down a couple weeks ago, and now we are taking people on the journey. So all of it, the layers, I love it.
Yeah, and
I'm a
with the
studio buff.
technology too, because if you're
Definitely.
making dance music
Hmm.
and you have no effects, and then you dial in some cool effects and you go, let's try this, let's
That's
do
right.
that. Oh my God, that is like so exciting. It's just, you know, and then if you're playing bass and you're going boom, do boom, or me, I'm saying I want boom, do boom, do
Right.
boom, and you're going, well, what about if I go boom, do boom, boom, right? And then
That's
I'm
right.
going, yeah, that's better, right? We're working together. It's not like all about like what does the arranger say? It's like what
Yes.
does the musician want to do?
That's right.
What is
Or what is the song telling you? I mean,
what
because
is the song?
sometimes a
Yeah.
song is teaching you what it needs. I mean, and sometimes I've gone with a preconceived idea, like, okay, well, this is going to be the instrumentation, and you get a couple of minutes down the road, and the song says, that's not what I need, and just
Yeah, you're
listen.
absolutely right. The song tells you, and I tell my students that too when you're writing and when you're
Yeah,
producing. The song tells you exactly. Thank you for saying that because the song tells you what it wants. Exactly.
absolutely.
It's it's just if you allow it, right? I think that's
Mhm.
part of having experience as well is learning to allow it to tell you that,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Rather
absolutely right.
than you having to control every second of it so that it becomes something. And then I have to tweak stuff.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, as a female, and it's happened to me on so many occasions, like I'll have to do like 25 remixes.
Mm,
They would never do that to you.
mm.
I mean,
They would
I've
never.
had ABC and Disney and Lionsgate and all different attorneys at different companies saying, can you send me all those mixes? I want to hear what you had to do, because they cannot believe that I was tortured like that. And the reason is they don't trust me because they don't trust themselves,
That's right.
right? They don't trust me. So especially let's say I'm working on a hip hop song, because I obviously look at all the artists you've mentioned, so you can
Yeah,
see that I've worked a ton with
definitely.
Black music,
Yes.
right? Okay, I'm a 5 foot tiny white girl again, you know? Okay, they don't trust me. I'm not sitting there going, I know what I know, and this is good. No, they're going to torture me. If
Hmm.
you were producing it, they would trust you, they would hear you, they would see you. So we have to stop all this stuff, because this
Absolutely.
stuff is works in reverse as well, that
Yeah.
it's just crazy stuff, and music needs to transcend that, right?
Yeah.
Because so I get a lot of that. So okay, here you
So,
go.
so what does Harry say about that? I mean, th these people would know who your husband is, and that, not that he has to vouch for you as your covering, but he is the expert, and his wife
Yeah,
is
but I'm
laying it
supposed to
out.
be the expert. They don't really use, which I appreciate, because that would probably upset me if they were doing that because I'm the expert. They're hiring me,
True,
right?
true.
But I have had a couple of occasions where some people have insulted something in the mix,
Hmm.
where he's the engineer, and I have had to list his credits and go, hello, hello, you
Yeah,
know. But he laughs, because if it's about him, he's secure. He doesn't care. He laughs. He thinks it's funny. You know, he knows he did a good job, and he knows
sure.
what he's doing. So
Exactly.
so right. And for me, he's always surprised. Like, okay, so if I have a musician in the studio, right,
Yeah.
and I'm engineering while they're recording, but if something serious needs to be done, I'm not a great engineer. I'm a basic engineer. I can record vocals, I can record guitars and live instruments. And yeah, I know how to do that. But I mean, if there's something really special, I'm going to call him in and ask him to help.
Certainly.
The next day, you'll see posts on Facebook saying, thank you for producing me, Harry. Okay, but he didn't produce them. I produced them, and I had my engineer come, right, and help
Yeah.
do some technical stuff. No. So Harry will then, like you're saying, for sure, he always posts back, I'm not the producer. Michelle's the producer. You know, he will always do that, which is really
Wow.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But he never understood until he had to start doing that. Because I would tell him, they think you're the producer if you come in the room. And he would go, no. But then finally he saw, yes, if he comes in the room, in the control room, they think he's the producer.
That's really interesting. You can knock me over with a feather right now because I thought we were so far past this. I mean, I thought we were so far past this. It's a little disconcerting.
Yeah, right. But so what do I say about that? Okay, that's life. It's just life.
You take
And
a
so
swim,
I
right?
don't,
You go
yeah,
take
I
a
don't let
swim.
it, right. I don't let it get in my way. I just go about doing what I'm doing. I keep striving. That's what we need to do, right? Because if we always are thinking, oh, it's so hard, I'm a girl. Oh, it's so hard, I'm Black. Oh, it's
Right.
so hard, I'm this, an Asian. And oh, it's so, we're not
You
going to
go
get it.
nowhere. That's right.
Yeah, right. So I just say, okay, but I'm doing it. So
Right.
it's a little harder. It's a little harder, and I have to work a little harder for it. Like if you were producing, you could, like Niall, when Niall produces, often he would leave a checklist for the musicians, and he would leave. And he would tell them, I want you to change this, I want you to fix this, and he'd give them a whole bunch of things, and he'd leave for an hour and he'd come back and see what they did. I can't do that. I have to be in the room for every kick drum, because if not, they think the drummer's the producer. So, but as a male, you don't have to do that. As a male, you can leave, you can come back, you're the producer, everybody gets that. You just gave them some notes, it's okay. So for me, I just have to be there. You know, I cannot disappear.
Wow.
So, but that's okay. So I'm there, right? So we all work around.
Why don't you, would you do us this favor and let us know a couple songs that have done very, very well and you're the producer, so we can just celebrate that moment that you rose above the ranks, killed
Well,
the glass ceiling.
Yeah, almost all my music placements I produced. So the title for Vivica Fox's show 1-800-MISSING, I produced that, and Kina on Atlantic Records sings that. She was an urban artist. My first placement, which was with Sam Moore from Sam Moore, Sam and Dave, I produced that. That's in the TV show Car 54, Where Are You? Actually, that's my second placement. I would have to go look down my credit sheet because I pretty much produced everything that I've done. So Irene Cara, I produced 2 hit dance singles for her. Oh my God, I'd have to take out my credit sheet and ask me. I'd have to look. I never remember what I've done, but pretty much everything. I've pretty much produced everything except a handful of things. Like when I work with Jonathan Butler, he produces it, but pretty much everything. That you see, every placement, every artist. I had a bunch of hit songs with some big J-pop artists. One, BTS. I'm not BTS, sorry. They're called TVXQ, and they're huge, sell millions and millions of records. And I produced that in Japan on Avex, and bunches of other big artists in Japan on Universal that I've produced with that J-pop stuff. And oh my God, just thousands of things.
My goodness. And I wasn't exaggerating at the beginning when I said 365, 24/7, not a day goes by where a Michelle Weiss Maslin's composition, collaboration, or production is not playing somewhere in the world. And that's just the truth. That's not exaggeration or lie or hyperbole.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff, but that's actually true. Yeah, it's pretty true. Yeah.
So what did I tell you? The real deal. And as I said before, next week We will pick up this conversation. I may back it up a little bit just for continuing context, but I had to find a place to splice it so it's a cliffhanger of sorts. But we were so grateful for the time that she shared with us. And I know that you loved it. I know that you felt her spirit. I hope you were taking notes. And she is very accessible at sweetersongs.com. Very accessible for a woman of her iconic status. And just a great, great person. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you will share this content, put it on your own social media page. I hope if you're not a subscriber that you will come and register with us. There's 4 tiers of registering to become a subscriber at The Entre Musician. The first one is fan or follower or friend or family member. So we try to make it as economically feasible as possible because everybody needs a cup of coffee at some point. So we're not trying to kill anybody on monthly subscriptions, but we do all that we can to provide the best access, collaborative opportunities and other forms of engagement so that you know that you're in with us because you're an Entre musician. That's just the way it is. You are an Entre musician and we're all out here trying to win together. So tune in next week again to hear part 2 of our conversation with Michelle Vice Maslin. And in between times, tell everybody you know and 10 people you don't know that you hang out here at The Entre Musician. My name is JERE B. Of course, I am The Entre Musician, but so are you. And we will see you next time. God bless.